Hey guys, today I'll be doing something a little bit different. Netflix just released one of my most anticipated show of this year. It's called Transformer War for Cybertron Siege. So this War for Cybertron Siege is a 3 chapters as they call it. It should be 3 seasons, but they call it 3 parts, so I'm fine with it. So the first part is called Siege, the second part will be called Earthrise, the third part will be called Kingdom. So Netflix just released Siege. So we're going to talk about Siege. It was released on the July 30th. So it is a 6 episode long with 22 minutes per episode. I binge watched all 6 episodes in one shot, and honestly, it was good. The show, it was good, in my opinion. Was it great? It was near great, but it was good. There are a lot of things that I kind of like, and there are a lot of things that I didn't particularly like. So this is my video to talk about my thoughts on the War for Cybertron Siege. So disclaimer, there will be spoiler within this video, so if you really do not want any spoilers, you want to watch the show, so you just go watch the show before I give my review and my thoughts about the characters and the story for Cybertron Siege. Well, first of all, I'm a big Transformer fan. Ever since young, I watched Generation 1 all the way to Beast War, and then the trilogy, which was the Armada, Energon, and Cybertron. But I didn't really watch the recent one, which was the Transformer Prime and some of the other newer Transformer cartoon or animation, whatever you want to call it. But during my childhood times, I really watched a lot of Transformer. They've been a big part of my life. I don't really have the luxury to own any proper Transformer toy other than the third-party Transformer toy. So given that the reason 2018 they released this line of toys called Transformer War for Cybertron Siege, honestly I was very thrilled that they announced this bunch of toys. I had to get them. Optimus Prime looks great, Megatron looks great as of the time, Starscream, Soundwave, everyone looks great, so I had to get them. Then it was a couple of months later, then they announced that Netflix was gonna release the show called War for Cybertron Siege, and I was mind blown, because another fact that I did play the War for Cybertron games, which was Transformer games, which was War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. Both of them were great games. I own them on my Steam as well. I played them like 3 to 4 times, and it still blew my mind how good the game was. Maybe due to the fact that I am a big Transformer fan. So, nevertheless, let's talk about the Netflix show War for Cybertron Siege. The animation was great, to be honest, and the fact that they directly translate the toy design all the way to the 3D animation, which is literally a one-to-one exact translation. So they didn't do any redesign to the character to make them more organic or whatsoever. It's literally a one-to-one. But there are a couple of moments where they have to twist their shoulder or twist their waist. So for me, it wasn't a big deal, but I can forget that, so I don't really mind. But the animation though is really good, to surprising. It wasn't very jagged or very disturbing in a sense that it will take you out of the moment because you are so concentrated in the story, so it really didn't get me out of it. So actually I am very happy that the animation style was very good. So let's talk about the story. Honestly, this is the most political Transformer I have ever seen. We all know that Autobots fight with the Decepticon take control of Cybertron, then the Autobots are the Resistance, so very similar to the Star Wars thing, like you have the Empire and then the Resistance, like Luke Skywalker, the Resistance whatsoever. The politics of both good and evil. They tell a lot more story within the War for Cybertron, as in like how did this war came about, like how political it is. So they give us a bit more depth into it, which I really do appreciate, but not too political to the point that it gets you out of the moment. But it is a lot of depth, a lot of details within the story. It was the character development that really give this show a lot more interesting. So let's get on to each character that I really want to talk about. Let's talk about Megatron. Okay, Megatron is the one thing that really blew my mind. So I was watching this War for Cybertron Siege with my younger brother. So he also praised Megatron. We At first, we didn't really mind Megatron voice, but after a couple of moments, then the voice of Megatron really registered into our mind, because we are so used to Frank Welker or even David K as Megatron, even though David K is the Beast War Megatron. But after a while, we don't really mind that this voice actor voiced Megatron. For me, he did very, very well, but there are certain of moments of delivery for Megatron we wish that it would be more sinister than anything else. We wanted him to be more rougher and more sinister in that sense. Before, we wanted Megatron to become a more evil, sinister, and very controlling kind of Megatron that we know. In this version of Megatron, I think is in the first 3 episodes, he was more considerate when it comes to trying to convince the Autobot to join the Megatron to sign the treaty with Optimus Prime. He was trying to be a leader in a sense of fairness, but before using brute forces. He was still using genocide during that moment, but there were a lot of consideration, so which is a bit surprising to me. He was more calmer, does not solve all problems with violence kind of Megatron, so which is a very big plus. Let's talk about Optimus Prime. You can say that he is very new of being a Prime, so there were a lot of decision making that kind of gave him a struggle. But there are times that he felt very naive, optimistic, but that's what a leader should do. But the thing is that there are times that he wasn't thinking very strategically, but through a certain of time, he was asking his Autobot brothers to really trust in him, which honestly I think is more of a character development for him, so that he can grow as a leader, and to the point that who knows, when in the upcoming season, then maybe we will be able to see the Optimus Prime that we know of, because this is the War for Cybertron, a very early stage for Optimus Prime to grow, so we don't get much of the Optimus Prime that we see now. So let's talk about the other characters that I'm really, really excited for. Jetfire. I've never seen Jetfire this much screen time before. Freshest memory of Jetfire was he was known as Skyfire in the G1 series. Jetfire was really a very surprising character for me, because he is a Decepticon in this show. Then the way that this show really portrayed Jetfire, because he's a Decepticon, he's very, very loyal to Megatron, but there are certain times that he's questioned Megatron decision making. In this story, that he turned from Decepticon become an Autobot, which all of us know that he will, just that it's only a matter of time. But for Jetfire to turn side is a bit sudden for my taste, but I wanted it the turn to be a bit more developed. Okay, there's one thing that I don't really like about Jetfire is the voice acting. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against a voice actor who also voiced Torbjorn in Overwatch. Somehow Jetfire doesn't sound a bit more honorable. He sound a bit more menacing than honorable in my opinion, but I wanted him to be a bit more noble, so hence that you can feel the sense of noble and honor when Megatron kind of ask him to kill Autobots in that sense. So that's my problem with Jetfire. But otherwise, Jetfire was great. The other character was Impactor. Impactor, I don't really know this character much other than from the comic books Impactor, that I don't really know much, because I own this figure. He even the symbol on the chest is Autobot, but in the show that he's a Decepticon. So that's why I wasn't sure that what I'm getting into knowing Impactor. But how this show portrayed Impactor was great as well. Impactor gave me a very good look at what a normal Decepticon soldier points of view, like, because the way he sees Megatron, because he's so loyal to Megatron, he will do everything for Megatron. He did see how the war affected both sides, so he tend to be more neutral than helping both sides. But at the end of the day, he is still trying to be the good one. So he didn't help Megatron. No, then he kind of slightly helped Optimus, because at the end of the day, he was doing it for Cybertron. Let's talk about Bumblebee. Okay, I really didn't expect how this show portrayed Bumblebee. Honestly, I do dig it. Bumblebee was Energon scavenger, you can say that, so he's not really part of the Autobot. But the way they portrayed Bumblebee was very interesting and very unique. But at a certain point that I really do not like how they use Bumblebee, because like later I'll be talking about Ultra Magnus. The way they use Bumblebee was very different, and I like it, but until around episode 3 or 4 where Ultra Magnus die. Then Alpha Trion Spark enter into Bumblebee, and Bumblebee suddenly had to look for Optimus Prime. Then in a way that he joined the Autobots. That's the part that I didn't really like, but at the end of the day, you still need Bumblebee to join the Autobot. But I wanted Bumblebee to have his sense of conscience to see the both side of the war. Then he will join Autobots because of how cruel Megatron is. So that's why it kind of forced Bumblebee to join the Autobots. So, but it's done, so what can you do about it? And lastly, I want to talk about Ultra Magnus. I really don't like how they use Ultra Magnus. That's my one part of it. They could have used any other character than Ultra Magnus, because in my mind that Ultra Magnus has always been the next Optimus Prime. If you watch the the movie, the 1986 or 1987, I forgot, the movie Optimus Ultra Magnus, he was supposed to be the next Prime, but how they use him in this show was kind of off-putting. Don't get me wrong, I know where Ultra Magnus' character is coming from, because he wanted peace between both Autobot and Decepticon, those kind of thing. Then he was the center person, tried to join Decepticon and Autobot to join forces in a peaceful way, but they could have used any other character than Ultra Magnus. They could have used any other character other than, because they kind of kill off Ultra Magnus way too soon. I wanted Ultra Magnus to be on Earthrise and Kingdom, or in the future installment of Transformer, because I wanted Ultra Magnus to obtain the Matrix of Leadership. I mean, even though they're hot rod to be the next Prime, which is known as the Rodimus Prime, but I want that kind of transition where Ultra Magnus is supposed to be the next Prime, but at the end of the day, Hot Rod became the Prime later on. But I wanted that, but you don't get that in the upcoming future installment, because they already killed off Ultra Magnus. But it's already been done. I couldn't really fault it. But yeah, they could have used any other character other than Ultra Magnus. Okay, this is the one thing that I really do want to talk about. I kind of understand that why they use they do it 6 episodes, but personally for me, 6 episode is a bit too short for my taste. If you can pump up 2 more episodes for this show, then it will be 8 episodes. I don't mind the 22 minutes runtime, but I wanted 2 more episodes from this show. The reason is that in this whole show they talk about how the Decepticon and the Autobots fight at each other, the history of the war. But I wanted one episode where they had a flashback telling that how Megatron rose to power, and how Optimus Prime got the Matrix of Leadership, how Autobot resists the Decepticon, and how Decepticon became the Decepticon that we know. I want one episode really shows the flashback of where they are right now. Okay, there's one particular episode that I don't really like, because they kind of like did it a bit too snippy and quick, which was the episode Sea of Rust. I think it was episode 5, where Jetfire kind of led Optimus Prime, Hound, and the other 2 characters I don't remember into the Sea of Rust. Particular episode, in my opinion, was very weak, because how they obtained the Allspark was very snippy and quick and wasn't very detailed, and then I don't sense the struggle of them through the obstacles that they went through. So if you can put just one episode dedicated for the Sea of Rust and how they obtain the Allspark with much more struggle and obstruction within that episode, that would be great, because to let you all have the sense of the danger of obtaining the Allspark. All they talk about was obtaining the Allspark was difficult, was very impossible, those kind of things. But that episode does not felt like that at all, because the way Optimus Prime caught the Allspark was way too easy, and just so happened Allspark is right there, and then all Optimus Prime had to do was to jump high enough just to catch it. There were no maze, no obstruction, no trap, way too easy. And how Jetfire saved Prowl in the tornado, whatever. They didn't even really went through the tornado. Jetfire went and saved Prowl, and that's it. Then you already passed phase 1. Where's the struggle? Where's the trap? Where's the the urgency of that. I have a problem with that particular episode. If you dedicate only that one episode, then it will be a better episode, so that once they obtain the Allspark, they have the sense of satisfaction of obtaining Allspark. And then after that, episode 6, which is the final episode, when everything went down, Decepticon, Autobot went to fight, Megatron tried to stop Optimus Prime. You know the gist. So at the end, but this show was good, not great. I had problems with this show. There are certain things that I really wanted it to do it better. Let me give you an example. The storyline, the politics, the drama, the character development, everything was great. The action was a bit clunky in my own personal taste. It was clunky, it wasn't really done proper in the sense, but given that there are children who also watch this show, they don't want to do it very violently, you can say, so that's why it felt a bit clunky. But the kind of action that I was expecting was from the first 10 minutes of the movie Bumblebee. But other than that, the show was great, and I can't wait for the War for Cybertron Earthrise, which is the chapter 2 of the War for Cybertron series, and I really can't wait. And then they recently just announced Kingdom, which they kind of hinted that they will release Beast War into this series. I'm really curious how are they going to implement Beast War into the Transformer. I kind of have the feeling where there will be like time jump and time travel to play with the War for Cybertron series. So this is my thoughts and review for the War for Cybertron Siege on Netflix. Let me know what you guys think about this series and comment down below. I really want to read your thoughts on this War for Cybertron Siege. Please do subscribe to my channel and give this video a like if you enjoy my thoughts on the War for Cybertron Siege. And I'll see you next time.